about cities? Let's go over the major cities that we pick. We pick a few cities to focus on. How about this one? Mexico City. And in El Salvador we have San Salvador. In Panama we have Panama City. And in Costa Rica we have San Jose. Good. How about Jamaica? Kingston. And in Puerto Rico we have San Juan. Good. Is there any other one that I didn't cover? Did we have Haiti's? Port-au-Prince. Yes. Good. Let's talk a little bit about the climate then. So we've already said because of the plate action we have volcanoes, and we also have what are called, it's the word for that we use for typhoons here.
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes. Okay, so while there's typhoons, and we did talk about how Guam is right about at 14 north, and if you go all the way across, come from here to 14 north, that hits right about at Guatemala. So very similar climate. Instead of typhoons though, we have hurricanes. And which way do they go? What direction is Hurricane Alley? Yes, from southeast to northwest, this way. Hurricane Alley, we all know that Katrina hit in the Gulf of Mexico at the delta of the Mississippi, New Orleans, Louisiana. And so there can be some fierce hurricanes. Now that's why we call these the Windward Islands, is because the hurricanes will hit the Windward Islands, the Leeward Islands are more protected. Doesn't mean they don't get hit ever by hurricanes, it just means that they're a little bit more protected because they're not in the direct hit that would come going this direction. Okay, so there can also be mudslides. There's a lot of really pretty fierce weather and events that occur here. So there's that physical diversity too. Now, our word for island chains is that fancy word? Archipelago. Oh, well said. Archipelago. And we have, this would be the land bridge we call? Isthmus. Isthmus. Good. Isthmus. Say that 10 times fast. Okay, so, and then again we have our cultural diversity, which would be Spanish colonization, but let's not forget, not just Spanish colonization, but many of these islands were colonized by many European groups, and the United States did some colonization there too. Many different types of political entities also. Small island states often are a little bit dependent because of their size. They have economic dependence sometimes, and after they're colonized, it can be difficult getting going, so there can be some poverty. There's some extreme poverty in this area. And we're gonna go over all these things later. Remember we said some of the issues for Mexico might be the border. It's an issue, the border, believe me, it's an issue for Mexico also. We said that Mexican people like to be called Latino or Hispanic rather than Mexican because there's sometimes a negative connotation. Same with native peoples, often like to not be called Indian due to the negative connotation. Prefer, you know, if they're Mayan, call a Mayan person named Mayan. And often there's great cultural mixing that goes on here. It's just wonderful diversity, wonderful mixing, same within the Caribbean. But we will talk about ethnicity there and how wonderful. I just think the mix there, the food, the culture, the music, reggae comes from the Caribbean. So lots of wonderful cultures there. Okay, also North American Free Trade Agreement right along the border here and also here. And we know that there's been some issues with cartels, with violence along the border, drugs, and we'll get far more into that. And we know also that the United States is the greatest, consumes the drugs, the majority of the drugs that are traveling this way. So it's a traffic that moves along and up and through Mexico into the U.S. Okay, well, thank you, and this is a great region. I'm excited to begin it. I hope you are too, and we'll talk to you next time. Adios.